Have you ever pondered how India's intervention shaped the Bangladesh Liberation War? Today we're embarking on a journey to explore this significant event in South Asian history. Our focus is the Bangladesh Liberation War, a tumultuous time that brought about profound change. But within this complex narrative, there's a pivotal player, India. It's a tale of struggle, intervention, and transformation. So buckle up and prepare for a deep dive into history. Stay with us as we navigate through this riveting chapter of history. To fully comprehend India's involvement, we must first understand the genesis of the Bangladesh Liberation War. Let's wind back the clock to the early 1950s, when East Pakistan began to boil with political and social unrest. The seeds of discord were sown with the language movement, a quest for linguistic recognition that turned bloody as the Bengali-speaking majority protested against the imposition of Urdu as the state language. This was the first major challenge to the unity of Pakistan, and it sparked a flame that would eventually ignite a war. But language was just the tip of the iceberg. Underlying the linguistic tension was a deep-seated economic disparity. East Pakistan was the more populous half, yet it received a mere fraction of the country's wealth. The majority of the state's revenue was generated from the jute and tea industries of East Pakistan, but the region's development was neglected and its people marginalized. A sense of deprivation and exploitation began to fester among the Bengalis. Political marginalization was the final straw in this cauldron of discontent. Despite being the majority, the Bengalis found themselves excluded from power corridors. The central government, dominated by the West Pakistani elites, consistently overlooked the political rights and autonomy of the Eastern Wing. The dismissal of the Awami League's victory in the 1970 elections was a glaring example of this disregard. As the tension mounted, so did the desire for independence. The East Pakistanis, now identifying as Bengalis, yearned for a country of their own, where they could speak their language, control their resources, and exercise their political rights without the shadow of West Pakistan looming over them. The turmoil reached a boiling point in March 1971, when the Pakistani military launched a brutal crackdown on the Bengali population, igniting the flames of the Bangladesh Liberation War. With the stage set for a revolution, India found itself in a crucial position. As the neighbor to the east, India played a critical role from the get-go. During the early stages of the Bangladesh Liberation War, India found itself in a precarious position. A massive influx of refugees started pouring into India from East Pakistan, escaping the horrors back home. Over 9 million people, primarily Hindus, sought refuge in the bordering Indian states, exerting an enormous economic and social strain on these regions. The refugee crisis was not only a humanitarian concern, but also a significant burden on India's resources. India's initial stance was to address this issue diplomatically. It sought to highlight the atrocities taking place in East Pakistan at international forums. India's then Prime Minister, Indira Gandhi, embarked on global tours to spread awareness about the dire situation and to rally international support. The aim was clear: to pressure Pakistan into halting its military operations in East Pakistan, thus preventing further influx of refugees into Indian territory. However, the international community's response was lukewarm at best. Major world powers, while expressing concern over the situation, were hesitant to intervene or take a firm stand against Pakistan. This lack of international support and the continuous flood of refugees left India in a state of crisis. With diplomatic efforts yielding little result, India was forced to reconsider its strategy. The stage was set for a more direct intervention in the conflict, a decision that would play a pivotal role in the course of the Bangladesh Liberation War. In December 1971, India officially entered the war. This was no impulsive decision, rather, it was the culmination of a series of events that had been building up over the course of the year. The influx of refugees from Bangladesh into India had been increasing steadily, creating a humanitarian crisis that could no longer be ignored. The Indian government, led by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, was moved to action. The decision to intervene was not taken lightly. But the atrocities being committed in Bangladesh, a neighboring country with close cultural and historical ties to India, were too grave to ignore. India's entrance into the war brought a new dynamic into the battlefield. Under the leadership of Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw, The Indian Armed Forces executed a two-pronged strategy. While the Eastern Command, led by Lieutenant General Jajit Singh Arora, focused on a direct offensive into East Pakistan, the Western Command kept the Pakistani forces engaged on the Western Front. Major battles such as the Battle of Longawala and the Battle of Hilli showcased the tenacity and strategic prowess of the Indian Armed Forces. The Battle of Longawala in particular was a testament to the courage and determination of the Indian soldiers as they held their ground against a numerically superior enemy force. But perhaps the most significant contribution of the Indian Armed Forces was the immense pressure they put on the Pakistani forces, forcing them to divide their resources between the eastern and western fronts. This strategic move played a crucial role in weakening the Pakistani defenses in East Pakistan, eventually leading to their surrender. The Indian Navy too played a pivotal role. In Operation Trident, the Indian Navy successfully blocked the ports of Karachi, cutting off Pakistan's sea routes and crippling their ability to resupply their forces in East Pakistan. The Indian Air Force, executing Operation Cactus Lily, targeted key infrastructure and military installations in East Pakistan, significantly hampering the enemy's ability to fight. India's involvement turned the tide of the war, leading to a swift conclusion. With their superior strategy and relentless pursuit of victory, the Indian Armed Forces played a decisive role in bringing the Bangladesh Liberation War to its conclusion. Their efforts were instrumental in the creation of a new nation, Bangladesh. The war ended with the creation of a new nation, Bangladesh. A land that had been steeped in conflict and turmoil was now free, a testament to the resilience of its people and the support of its allies. The aftermath of the war, however, was far from a celebration. It was a time of rebuilding, of healing, and of establishing a new identity for a nation born out of strife. India, having played a crucial role in the liberation of Bangladesh, did not simply step back once the fighting ceased. Instead, it stepped up, providing much-needed support in the post-war reconstruction. The cities were in ruins, the economy was shattered, and millions of people were displaced. India's assistance in this time of need was a beacon of hope for the newly formed nation. India extended its support in various ways. It provided financial aid, helped in the reconstruction of infrastructure, and assisted in the repatriation of refugees. Indian doctors and nurses worked tirelessly to treat the wounded and the sick. Indian engineers helped rebuild roads, bridges, and buildings. Indian teachers and scholars lent their expertise to set up educational institutions. The ties between the two nations were further strengthened with the signing of the Indo-Bangladesh Treaty of Friendship, Cooperation and Peace in March of 1972. This treaty marked a new era of diplomatic relations between the two countries. It laid the groundwork for cooperation in various fields such as trade, defense, and cultural exchanges. This treaty was a symbol of India's commitment to the prosperity and stability of Bangladesh. The journey of Bangladesh from a war-torn region to a sovereign nation was a challenging one. However, with the unwavering support of its ally India, it managed to rise from the ashes. The bond forged in the crucible of war has grown stronger over time, standing as a testament to the power of unity and cooperation. India's role was instrumental not just in the liberation, but also in the nation-building that followed. India stood by Bangladesh not just as a wartime ally, but as a partner in peace and progress. So, what can we take away from India's involvement in the Bangladesh Liberation War? Well, we've traveled through a fascinating slice of history, and it's crucial to remember the key points we've discussed. The genesis of the conflict, rooted deeply in the quest for self-determination and cultural identity, set the stage for a battle that would reshape the South Asian landscape. India, initially a bystander, was pulled into the chaos not merely by geopolitical strategies, but also by a deep-seated desire to uphold human rights and democracy. It's worth noting how India's initial stance was one of cautious observance, understanding the implications of getting involved in another country's internal conflict. But as the situation in East Pakistan deteriorated, India found itself shouldering the weight of a massive influx of refugees. The scale of the humanitarian crisis, coupled with the escalating violence, nudged India from its stance of neutrality to active involvement. India's entrance into the war was decisive. It marked a turning point in the conflict, tipping the scales in favor of the Mukti Bahini, the freedom fighters of Bangladesh. The swift and strategic military intervention by India hastened the end of the war, leading to the birth of a new nation, Bangladesh. In the aftermath, India's role didn't stop at military intervention. It extended to diplomatic endeavors, aiding Bangladesh as it navigated the complex waters of international recognition and sovereignty. India's support for Bangladesh's independence was not a fleeting event, but a sustained commitment, demonstrating India's dedication to regional stability and human rights. Understanding these historical events and their implications is not just an exercise in memory, it's a journey into the heart of geopolitics, illuminating the intricate dance of power, diplomacy, and humanity that shapes our world. It's a testament to the power of unity, the resilience of the human spirit, and the enduring quest for freedom. India's role in the Bangladesh Liberation War is a testament to its commitment to human rights and regional stability.